things just got a whole load worse for Meghan Markle because her sister Samantha ain't going anywhere.
I do believe because there are no delivery certificates, in my opinion, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad.
This scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation about the children has been simmering for years.
I grew up as an only child, which everyone who grew up around me knows. I would have loved to have had siblings. That's why I'm so excited to be pregnant, so that Archie has someone.
This crisis won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out.
People think her kids are fake. They think they're AI.
Like, why lie? It was just so truly bizarre.
Silence everybody and just produce a DNA sample. If you had those things, it would be very easy just to put them out there and say, this is what happened. You know, this is what it is. And she said, I lost my father. We knew that she didn't lose our dad. She iced our father. I'll tell you why. What she told the royal family, what she told Harry, wouldn't have jived, wouldn't have been consistent with the truth. So all of the pictures, my point is, out there were inconsistent with the idea of a real pregnancy. I thought, what is she not contextually aware? She's trying to hide something. This is really sloppy pool. And when you're pregnant, there's not a pillow under your skirt. And there's live footage of her walking towards camera with her abdomen swaying left to right in a black and white checkered dress. A royal physician was not allowed to examine her womb. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but if I were pregnant with a royal child, you would want that child in the best care of the best medical practitioners that money could buy. And there's a very big difference. It was deliberate.
Things have escalated quickly in the Meghan Markle saga. Within weeks, two separate bombshells surfaced, one from Samantha Markle and another from a woman known only as DL. Samantha claims Meghan secretly married a teenage friend in Las Vegas in 1994, with annulment records sealed and a child allegedly raised elsewhere. DL, meanwhile, insists she was the surrogate behind Meghan's pregnancies, producing hospital bills and NDAs to back her case. For Meghan and Harry, the timing couldn't be worse. Their public brand has always been built on truth and authenticity. But these allegations strike at the foundation of that story, raising questions that can't be ignored. Silence may once have seemed like a strategy. Now, it's the loudest part of the scandal. From the start, Meghan's story was marketed as a modern fairy tale, the outsider who rose from Hollywood auditions to the British monarchy. She presented herself as the survivor of outdated tradition, someone who broke barriers. But Samantha Markle says that narrative doesn't hold up. Samantha argues Meghan didn't just distance herself from family, she erased them. She points to years of support from their father, Thomas Markle, who paid for private schooling and gave Meghan the platform she later used. Yet in interviews, Meghan described herself as an only child who lost her father. For Samantha, those aren't slips of memory. They're deliberate rewrites of history. This is why the current accusations hit so hard. They don't stand alone. They fit into a pattern critics have noticed for years. Timelines that don't add up, stories that shift depending on the audience, and a tendency to present hardship where others remember privilege. When your image rests on authenticity, those cracks matter. Samantha has positioned herself not as a jealous relative, but as the one exposing inconsistencies. She argues Meghan's speeches, biographies, and photo ops aren't glimpses of reality. They're staged performances. And in interviews, she hasn't backed away from that claim. The reaction online has been immediate. Forums, comment threads, and YouTube channels have dissected her words, lining them up with Meghan's past statements. Even those who dismiss Samantha's motives admit the parallels are hard to ignore. For critics, Samantha's attacks feel less like family drama and more like a direct hit to Meghan's credibility. The second shot came from DL, who claims she carried Meghan's children under contract. Unlike vague rumors of fake pregnancies, DL came forward with details: medical records, contracts, and accounts of postpartum complications. She describes months of isolation, hidden clinics, and promises of privacy that turned into silence. For Meghan's critics, the timing and secrecy around her pregnancies suddenly looked suspicious. She skipped the traditional hospital photo calls that Diana and Kate embraced. She released no consistent medical details, and when videos surfaced online of her baby bump folding awkwardly, speculation only grew. Instead of a denial, reports say the Sussex's legal team issued warnings to outlets covering DL's story. No proof was offered to end the discussion. To analysts, that strategy backfired. Silence plus legal threats doesn't read as strength. It reads as avoidance. In the monarchy, tradition demands transparency. Births of heirs have always been public milestones, confirmed beyond doubt. Meghan and Harry broke that tradition completely. At first, it was framed as a modern choice. But once DL spoke, those gaps in protocol took on new meaning. Public trust began to shift. Polls suggested more people were open to believing DL than Meghan. Commentators pointed out the contradiction. The couple who built their empire on speaking their truth suddenly refused to speak at all. Critics argue this silence has become their greatest weakness. Legal warnings can suppress headlines, but they can't suppress social media. Every unanswered question breeds more suspicion, and in a digital culture that never stops digging, silence is fuel for the fire. Samantha's most damaging claim goes back to 1994. She says Meghan secretly married Joe Giuliano, a teenage friend, in a Las Vegas chapel. The marriage was annulled, records sealed, and the story erased before Meghan left for Northwestern University. The claim connects directly to Meghan's missing year, the gap between her high school graduation and college. Meghan has said she spent that year traveling abroad, but no classmates recall her trips, no programs list her, and no photos exist. Instead, there's a blank space that Samantha fills with a wedding and possibly even a child. Legal experts note annulment records are rarely sealed unless minors are involved or extraordinary petitions are filed. That detail alone has kept the rumor alive. And Meghan's decision to start fresh in Chicago, away from Los Angeles and Las Vegas, fits neatly into the theory of a carefully planned reset. Once this story hit social media, it exploded. Hashtags like hashtag Meghan's missing year and hashtag Vegas wedding trended. TikTok creators stitched together timelines asking the viral question, where was Meghan in 1994 to 95? One clip racked up 2 million views in days. Users dug into Las Vegas archives, family genealogy sites, and even property records. Tabloids reported whispers from Giuliano relatives and neighbors in Chicago who remembered a baby arriving in the mid-90s. None of it is definitive, but in the court of public opinion, the lack of clarity only fuels suspicion. Memes spread quickly. Meghan's branded lifestyle photos were compared to neon wedding chapel signs. Clips from The Hangover were edited to imply her gap year wasn't about self-discovery, but about a Vegas mistake. Even those skeptical of Samantha admitted the investigation had gained its own momentum. Petitions soon followed, demanding Clark County release annulment records linked to Meghan. Thousands of signatures poured in. Facebook groups shared speculative photos of women resembling Meghan, suggesting one might be the rumored daughter. The Sussexes' silence meant speculation filled the gap. And online, speculation moves faster than fact. These allegations aren't just gossip. They carry professional and institutional consequences. Meghan and Harry's value to Hollywood lies in their credibility as truth-tellers. But with questions about hidden marriages and concealed surrogacies, that credibility looks fragile. Reports suggest Netflix executives are monitoring closely, worried about investing further in projects if public trust collapses. PR analysts warn that audiences will not buy documentaries or podcasts from figures they suspect of deception. For a brand built on authenticity, that's a serious risk. The monarchy is watching too. While Meghan and Harry step back from duties, their choices still affect the institution. Royal births are supposed to be beyond doubt. If secrecy concealed a surrogate arrangement, critics argue it could even raise constitutional questions about succession. For Harry, the silence creates a different problem. Analysts say he now looks either complicit or misled. Neither role strengthens his position as a royal rebel who once demanded accountability. Cultural commentators frame the issue as part of a wider trend. Reinvention is celebrated until it crosses into deception. Hollywood stars rebrand themselves constantly, but it works only when the audience believes they're being honest. Once trust is broken, the fall is swift. The comparisons are telling. Lance Armstrong denied doping until the evidence collapsed. Milli Vanilli lip-synced their way into fame before being exposed. Rachel Dolezal built a false identity that ended her career when uncovered. None of these scandals were about minor missteps. They were about credibility lost once contradictions surfaced. For Meghan, the risk is greater. This isn't just celebrity reinvention. It's tied to royalty, Hollywood deals, and her global platform. A single contradiction, left unanswered, can unravel everything. That's why silence, once her shield, is now her most dangerous choice. Look at the pattern. Samantha accuses Meghan of rewriting her family ties and erasing her father. DL claims she was the surrogate, with documents in hand. The missing year of 1994 to 95 suggests a secret teenage marriage and a sealed annulment. Each claim could be dismissed on its own, but together they form a chain of unanswered questions. And Meghan and Harry's response, silence, has amplified the controversy. The fallout is spreading. Polls show rising skepticism. Hollywood partners are reevaluating. Royal observers question whether traditions were broken, and critics argue Meghan and Harry's empire, built on authenticity, is cracking under its own contradictions. The irony is clear. The couple who demanded transparency from the monarchy now refuse to provide it themselves. The pair who built careers on telling their truth now face accusations of hiding their most important truths. The question isn't just whether Samantha's bombs are accurate, it's whether Meghan and Harry can survive without answering them. Because in today's culture, speculation can be just as damaging as fact. And with every day of silence, the story moves further out of their control. For now, Meghan's carefully crafted fairy tale belongs to the public conversation. And until she addresses the missing pieces, the world will keep asking whether her story is one of resilience or one of illusion.